Exterminate!
Oh no, a Dalek, run!
Exterminate! 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 Seriously, what is the point of this? I mean, it was fine in the more than 30 years in the TARDIS documentary, but this, whilst it's nice, it doesn't feel that needed. What is the point? Is it just for fun? I don't mind it just being for fun, but I need a reason why it's here. Oh well, exterminate!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to my review on the Dalek documentary, Dalekmania, which is, well, it says it's included on this. It's on disc 2 with the Dalek's Invasion Earth 2150 AD. Usually it's actually included with Doctor Who and the Daleks, but it's included on this disc because there's only 2 extras on this DVD, the other one to commentary for the first film, so they put the documentary on the second disc. Presumably, but usually it's included on the first disc, or with Doctor Who and the Daleks. With Doctor Who and the Daleks on, I'm not sure about the first DVD set, but certainly with the 2013 individual DVDs and the Blu-rays, it was included on Doctor Who and the Daleks, whilst with some other extras, whilst Invasion Earth got its own stuff, presumably. And also I've got myself, my little friend here, to just watch. I'm also using him for the sketch, which, by the time this is finished, should have been gone before this. So, yeah. So, Dalekmania, the definitive story of the Daleks. Well, the Dalek films, with some little dip into the TV show. This documentary is from 1995, so around the 30th anniversary of the first film. And it's a nice little documentary. You get quite a lot of nice stories from the cast and crew, and from Terry Nation, some of the fans. It's got some nice stuff. You get some very nice stories recalled, and some good stuff. My particular favourite bit is when they're talking about the Dalek merchandise, which is about halfway through, and the actors of Aladdin and I can't remember her name. The actress is Yvonne. She's the female Thal who got a bit to do in the film. Dion, I think the character is. But it's those two, and they're talking about how Yvonne, the actress, had a Dalek toy, and she doesn't have any anymore. And then after that, they then go on and talk about 2 people are talking about Dalek merchandise with the a woman, it's a man and a woman, and the woman at the end says that her husband has just bought the big Dalek, one of them anyway. There's only 3 known to exist. I guess that's why she was hired to do this, because her husband had bought this, and she was obviously good at talking about these. I don't know about the other guy. He was talking about the little one, and that's only 30 quid, I think, in today's money. Whilst the big one's about 500, I think, maybe 1,000. I might be wrong. Maybe even 5,000. It's very rare. There's only 3 of them known to exist. Just at least the paper mache one, there might be more. That one's actually quite cheap to pay in consideration of how much the more common stuff is. And most of this, I would say, it's just Daleks, but you can get some of its merchandise from the show, some of it's from the films. But most of it is just Daleks. Yeah, it's a very nice segment. And if that's how much they, when they put the prices of how much they cost in 1995, imagine how much they would cost today in 2019, almost 14 years later. Imagine. 14? No, 24. 24 years later. It's nearly a quarter of a century. In fact, next year will be the 25th. 25, so almost a quarter of a century more. And the films themselves have celebrated their 50th a few years ago, 2015 and 2016. not much happened for them. Their DVD and Blu-ray releases came out in 2013, although the Steelbook releases for the second film was 14 and the first film 15. Okay, that could be good. And I suppose my DVD copy came out the 40th anniversary year of the second film, I guess. I'm sure there's... And apparently, at the end, they were talking... I think it was the editor of Doctor Who magazine, Gary... Not Gary Russell, another Gary Gillespie? I'm not sure. But Gary, and he's talking about how great they were and the best way to experience the films would be on the big screen. And I would agree with him. Big screen. And then he says the next best thing is having them in widescreen, which is what's going to happen to them. They're going to come onto video in widescreen. So I expect this documentary was released on video around the same time. So it's cool. That sounds cool, having them in full widescreen on video. 1995, 96, that would have been a fantastic thing. When we come to now, 2019, looking at it now, you think, okay, what's the best thing that it would be for a present day one? Well, in my opinion, I would have said if they'd been restored and put in HD and released on Blu-ray, but that's already happened in 2013. Not only did the film's got a full restoration and released on Blu-ray, and the DVDs also have the restored versions, so it's basically the James Bond Ultimate Edition versions of the Dalek films. These are just the films as they were, maybe slight restoration for the 2002 release, re-released here, maybe with some more restoration, and then digitally restored. And if I was quoting the James Bond Ultimate Edition set, digitally restored with a new Best Picture and sound quality on DVD and Blu-ray. So, yeah, they've been digitally restored and finally released on Blu-ray. So if I was saying that what would be the next best way to experience the Dalek films after the cinema and widescreen in a 2019 context, I would say 4K. I haven't seen anything in 4K, but I think it would be the next best thing. That or 3D. 3D and 4K would be the next best way. Even though I haven't seen anything in 4K, it is the next stage from HD high definition. From the types of high definition, 4K is the next best thing. So that or 3D. I think it would look really good in 3D, especially the Daleks coming out at the second film in particular would look really cool, especially with that spaceship. Besides those, then an even better restoration in the future, I suppose. I suppose we're at this current time, we've got the best of the best HD restoration on Blu-ray in widescreen, with the potential. We could potentially get a 4K release up down the line. Twice Upon a Time's got a 4K release. That's the only story that's currently got that. So I don't know why Series 11 hasn't. So we'll see. And again, they've only just started doing actual stories on Blu-ray, besides a few previous ones from the classic series. But yeah, we'll see. They'll probably get a 4K release around maybe next year for the 55th anniversary release. That'd be cool. What he said. But yeah, that's in 2019 context. 4K and 3D would be the next best things. Maybe 3D, maybe on the cinema as well, excluding on the big screen. That'd be cool. Having re-releases. Maybe you should think about doing that for the 60th anniversary. Having them re-released on the big screen in 3D, in full HD, and it just looks so cool. I've been talking about this more than I've been talking about the documentary or the films. But there's not really a huge amount to talk about. There's a lot of good stories. One of my favourite stories is Robert Powell, I think. His story about the big stunt, the big action scene I've mentioned in the review about how the guy's escaping the Daleks, and how I found that better than the guy. That scene is based similar to a scene in the Dalek Invasion of Earth Part 2, where a guy tries to escape but is cornered by the Daleks, screams "help me," and they kill him. Whilst in the film, there's a big action scene, and I've gone into a bit more detail in the review. And yeah, I bloody love the new version, and it looks cool. The story, Powell says that he actually, because they actually set off an explosion a bit early, he actually, he actually falls through the smoke, which actually looks even better. And then when he goes through the tarpaulin, shop front tarpaulin thingy, he then lands on the brickwork and twists his ankle, and then they have to finish the scene quickly with him being exterminated, and then he's raced off to hospital as they can't do the next bit with him in so much pain. So once he comes back on crutches, he's able to do the last little bit of the scene with being able to stay still, and the camera just focuses on his top half. So he's a very dedicated stuntman. He's very good. He talks a little bit more about his other stuff. Apparently he was the alien in Alien. Though he didn't get main credit, he's just credited as the alien. But yeah, he does. He has it's a little bit. He talks a little bit about what else he's done, which doesn't quite fit with the rest of the documentary. But it's a nice, quick chat about what else he's done, and I enjoyed the story about him so much. Even though he twisted his ankle in the process, it was a fun story. He and Roberta Toby have a little laugh about it. Jill Cruzon has a nice story about how she was the only girl to go into Studio B at Shepperton Studios, whilst most of the other girls were going into Studio A to film Casino Royale, the 1967 film, which I recently reviewed. I think it would have been nice if Jill Cruzon had a cameo in that film, but she was too busy having a major role in a much better film. Yeah, I love James Bond. It's my favourite film franchise, but the Casino Royale spoof is something else. It's something. It's awful. It's not awful, but it's not that good. It's fun, but it's not good. But Invasion Earth 2150 AD is fantastic. Could rival some of the better Eon production Bond films. They were. I don't think anything from You Live Twice was being filmed at the time at that studio. Maybe, definitely down at Pinewood, but not Shepperton. But she also got to talk to Shirandris and some of the other girls that were there, and Bernard Cribbins went off fishing, apparently. And some nice stories about Roy Castle as well, how he was cast to get the teenagers in, and that he would bring in his trumpets to play, and how this would help, this would distract Roberta Toby from her tutoring, her schoolwork when she wasn't on set. And how Peter Cushing would only do the second film if Roberta came back as well. And yeah, obviously both of them came back. Roy Castle and Janet Lydon, we don't know about them. I actually don't know why they cast Janine Lydon as Barbara, nor why she didn't come back, nor Royce Castle for the second films. Janine Lydon does appear in the More Than 30 Years in the TARDIS documentary with Roberta Toby when they talk about the Dalek films on that documentary, and they both they're in the commentary on disc 1 of this release. But why she's not here talking about her experience, why they don't talk about her that much, I don't know. I mean, she is my least favourite main character of the two films, but I am wondering what happened to her. During this time, why did they cast her? Why did she decide not to leave? And the same with Roy Castle in that respect. Peter Cushing was cast to get a bit more of an international audience on board, especially in America. He was a big hit there, and he was well known. And I would say Peter Cushing did a good job. I think he does it better in the second film, where he does take a bit more like Hartnell. Terry Nation, who gets interviewed for the film, is at the documentary, wasn't so keen on Cushing's performance. He thought it was too nice. Whilst William Hartnell had a bit more of wasn't as nice. I would say Cushing acted a bit more like the William Hartnell in the second film, but not to the point where he was parodying or copying him, just taking some inspiration, I suppose, but still keeping the same character from the first film. And I liked that. I thought that would have been a good performance, and I think had there been a third film, we had explored that angle really much better. A nicer version of the first Doctor, but he's not as nice as he was in the first film. He's a bit more tetchy, or he's a bit more stubborn. Certainly, at least a lot more intelligent and ahead of his enemies with his knowledge. So, I would have liked to have, if there was a third film, I would have liked to explore that. And yeah, it's a shame. Apparently, there was going to be Milton Subotsky, the producer of the films, or one of the producers, wanted to do a Dalek film every year, so yeah, they would have done The Chase in 67. Would they have done Mission to the Unknown in 68, or go straight to Masterplan and have that as part of it? if I was doing Master Plan, I would have made it a two-part film. Depends, how does he know when he would have stopped them? Some of these stories, there were 2 or 3 a year in some cases in the 60s, and there was 2 in 60, there was 63, 64, 1.5 in 60, 2.5 in 65, the other half in 1.5 in 66, and 1 in 67. Although with Terry Nation taking them out to try and make them a show in America, and the movies still have continued into the 3rd film, would they have still been able to do any more after that, with Terry Nation packing up the Daleks to go to America until they came back to the show in 1972, and properly in 73, as Terry Nation hadn't given them permission for Day of the Daleks, and so allowed him to be in the show on conditions that he would write, or at least most of then future stories from 73 onwards. 73 to 79 anyway. And also, during this documentary, we get some cutaways to some kids at a cinema who are seeing one of the films, I guess. And then in the corridor, we see a Dalek chasing them. And then when we get to Invasion Earth, we see them run outside to meet the Roadmen, and the spaceship flies over. But they escape in the TARDIS, or TARDIS in this version. And at the end, they meet their mother outside the front of the cinema, and the boy looks back to see the end of Dalek's Invasion Earth 2150 AD with the Doctor Who, I should say, for this version, Susan and Louise waving at them like they did with Tom at the end. Well, it's the same clip, but like they did when they did to Tom in the 2nd film. Fun fact, the commissionaire, the guy outside the cinema at the end, is Michael Wisher, who played Davros in Genesis of the Daleks, and voiced some of the Daleks in Planet Death and Genesis as well. So, yeah, that's a nice little cameo from Michael Wisher. Just as great as it is to have Terry Nation in this documentary talking about the Dalek films. And yeah, it's a great documentary. All the stories are great, and you get to see all this merchandise and behind the scenes stories, and so much fun. I do also like the little cutaways to the kids and the Daleks and the Roadmen, but my only complaint is that there's too little, and there's only a little bit of it, and they're slotted in at just random points, really, just when they feel like it. I mean, with 30 years in the TARDIS, or more than 30 years in the TARDIS, they fitted in really well with the boy and the gun. John Pertwee having to drive away from a giant dinosaur, Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred meeting up with the Hemivore, and all these little Sarah Jane, the Sontaran, all these cutaways that just worked really well, everything, and the start of it just helped get you invested into the documentary, and it just looked really, just worked really well with it. And I suppose it works better with the more than 30, the extended version, as with more than 30 years in the TARDIS, as that was allowed to go to 90 minutes, whilst the shorter version, 30 years in the TARDIS, which was released on the 30th anniversary, I think that was only an hour, so maybe they didn't do as many of that, but the extended edition probably included more of it for its 90-minute 1994 VHS version, which is the same version we have on the 2013 DVD in the Legacy Collection. I'd recommend try and find that DVD and get it right now, because with the new Sharda release, and having that original version on the DVD with that box set, it's going to be a bit more. It might become a rarer release, like some of the older releases that have gotten special editions now are, especially in Region 1, where quite a lot of titles going out of print for some reason. Not just the original editions, but some of the other stories as well. So I recommend getting the Legacy Collection whilst you still can, before it gets rare or expensive. Otherwise, more than 30 years in the TARDIS is going to need its own release. May get included on the Season 26 Blu-ray release, but I don't know how likely that is. Anyway, so yeah, just with more than 30 years in the TARDIS, those bits felt really well worked into the story, and also with Everything or Nothing, The Untold Story of James Bond 007, which is another documentary I love. They had these edits of montages from the films with some music that worked with what the people were saying about the stories or the events or world events happening. There was some great stuff, and not only would they use stuff from the films, but also real life, or also from what they were talking about it. I especially loved the bit about 9/11. After they finished talking about Cubby Broccoli, they moved on to 9/11 and how Ian Fleming was saw bits of the 9/11 attacks, and Ian Fleming was talking about how some nut with a bomb can blow people up, and the music was reflecting that, and Judi Dench started talking about how it looked like it was from a film. So that was a great bit, for example, from that film. I love that documentary. I'm going to be reviewing it in November, December, as part of the James Bond ones. More Than 13 Years in the TARDIS I will also review when wrapping up the 7th Doctor's era. This one, just these cutaways, they're nice, but I think they're a little out of place in some of the films. It feels like you could make a whole short film about it for 5 minutes, like that guy tried to do with the model Daleks. That was a nice story, how a fan who was good at making models and tried making a film about his model Daleks, tried making his own fan film. I would, if that film's finished, I'd love that to be released on DVD or Blu-ray or put on YouTube. I don't know how likely that is, though. I don't even know if it still exists apart from the clips here. Maybe if the guy releases it, then it'd be great. It would be, maybe it's an extra on the new releases. I don't know. Probably not. It'd be nice. It'd be really cool. But yeah, that's a nice story. Mission of Doom. That'd be a cool short film to watch. If it's even a short film, it might even be feature length. Ooh, goody. So yeah, after all of that, here is my conclusion. Dalekmania is a brilliant 57-minute documentary looking at the Daleks, especially the Dalek films and the Daleks' impact in the culture, and yeah, just how brilliant it was. The cutaway stuff with the kids and the Daleks and the Roman menace are fun, but out of place for quite a bit of it. The merchandise talking is really fun. The stories are great. I like how they actually positioned the cameras for the interviews, and it's just executed really well. And a nice cameo from Michael Wisher at the end. Overall, and edited really well as well, and the music is used greatly as well, just like in the other 2 documentaries I mentioned. Overall, it's not perfect, but it's brilliant. It's a great documentary summing up talking about the 2 Dalek films and the impact of the Daleks in the 1960s. So I'm going to give Dalekmania a 9 out of 10. I think it would have been a 10 if maybe we had 3 more minutes, 3 more minutes to take it up to an hour, and then just a little bit more, maybe some more stuff. It does take them till about halfway. The first half is mostly on Doctor Who and the Daleks and the impact, first little impact, and then after the merchandise stuff, we move on to the second film. Wrap up the first film and move on to the second film, and then talk about that. So I would have liked 3 more minutes just to wrap it all up, and just a bit more of a reflection, just some more stuff. Maybe some more of the stuff with the kids. And like I said, I thought those were good, but strangely placed. But still very good, and would have made a good short film. And yeah, it's very nice. It's a very nice documentary, and it is definitely the definitive documentary of the Dalek films. Well, certainly prior to 2013, if they've done anything for the new releases, the 2013 DVD or Blu-ray releases. If not, then this is the definitive Dalek documentary. So that's certainly for the films anyway. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I will be doing my top 5 movie Doctor moments in a few minutes. Following that, I will be finishing up the William Hartnell era properly this time with An Adventure in Space and Time. I say William Hartnell with the first Doctor era with David Bradley as William Hartnell, and I'm going to have to watch this later. And wow, this is going to be something else. something different to what we've had before. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it at this point because it's the end of the Hartnell era, as opposed to saving it for the 50th anniversary era, 50th anniversary. But yeah, just drop up the William Hartnell era. Twice Upon a Time, on the other hand, is waiting. Re-review is waiting until I get to the end of the Capaldi era. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Sorry. Jill Cruzon has a nice story about how she was the only actress going into Studio B instead of all the fuck.